The Istanbul Cipher, Chapter 14. The basement buzzed. Power cables snaking across concrete, fans humming under open laptops, a faint smell of solder from a burned microchip Emre had just replaced. They weren't students anymore. Not interns. Not participants. They were insurgents of memory. Emre tapped through overlay screens, one hand on the trackpad, the other cradling his forehead. "Okay," he said. "Final alignment. Museum scan, the mosque inscription, and Siebel's textile photo. Watch this." With a flick of his wrist, the fragments rotated and slid into place. A single mosaic tile shimmered, then pulsed. Greek, Armenian, Arabic scripts curling together into a single circular cipher. It looked alive. Ayla stepped closer, jaw clenched. "Now we run it through the translator engine. Add the GPS layer." Siebel hovered, hesitant. "What if it's not just a message?" Layla murmured, "What if it's a warning?" Emre hit enter. On screen, the translation bloomed. When the voices of memory rose together, they built a new name in secret. Faith braided, borders blurred, light kept underground until it could speak again. Layla exhaled like someone had hit her in the chest. They didn't just worship together. They protected each other. I sat back against a metal filing cabinet, arms folded, heartbeat steady. They were no longer theorizing. They were decoding proof of something sacred, hidden, and endangered. Not a relic, a rebellion. The silence in the room was different now. Not tired, not tense. Sacred. "Print it," Ayla said, already dragging files into a secure folder. "We need that verse embedded in the app, visible as an overlay." Emre nodded. "I'll build a micro-module. Decentralized, anonymous, locationally anchored." I just watched and listened. This isn't about permissions anymore. It's about memory outliving the systems that tried to erase it. Layla glanced at me. "Mr. Merritt, you okay?" I looked around the room, the maps, the cables, the photos of vanished walls and vanished people. "Yeah," I said. "I'm watching history get written. By the only ones who still believe it matters." "I still say we scan and go," Ayla said, arms crossed, eyes hard. "Minimal footprint. Fast in, fast out." We were back at the whiteboard. If you could call a dented dry erase sheet pinned over cracked plaster a whiteboard. Coordinates, floor plans. The mosaic cipher glowed faintly on Emre's laptop behind her, like a digital ghost listening in. Siebel looked up from her notebook. "Fast means nothing if no one hears it. We have to document it like it was never supposed to disappear again." "We don't know what we're walking into?" Ayla fired back. "Exactly," Emre added. "So we live stream everything. I've got a secure server set up with a triple-layer firewall, pinged through an anonymizer loop." Ayla raised a skeptical eyebrow. "Until the ministry flags it." "They already pinged us," he shot back. "We saw the IP." Siebel tapped the photo of the clasped hands. "Then we have to go public while we're inside." "Not after. If they shut us down again, the truth dies with us." "No one's dying," I said quietly. "But you're right. They've already tried to bury this once. Don't give them a second chance." Layla stepped forward, unrolling the fragile scarf she always carried in her satchel. The faded embroidery was nearly threadbare now, but the pattern was unmistakable, the same interwoven symbol from the mosque, from the mosaic. My grandmother called it the echo of hands that remembered each other, she said. This site, this story, it's not just for us. It's a bridge. The room stilled. Then Ayla sighed. Okay, no more half measures. I'll prep a closed beta build of the app, she continued. We inject it through the dev backend. No store approvals, no traceable names, just coordinates. I'll set up redundant streams, Emre added. If they take one down, 2 more go live. I leaned against the support pillar, watching it all come together. Plans, code, conviction. They're not building a project. They're building a firewall against forgetting. Layla looked at me, her voice low but steady. This is it, isn't it? After this, we can't go back. No, I said, and we shouldn't. Kansu showed up just after noon, ducking under the low lintel of the youth center basement with a bulging canvas tote slung over one shoulder. She wore a janitor's badge on a borrowed lanyard and a smirk that didn't quite hide the nerves behind it. You have 10 minutes to thank me before I remember I could lose my internship for this, she said, dropping the bag on the floor with a soft thud. Ayla crouched down and unzipped it. Out came a compact thermal camera, a portable 3D scanner, and a flash drive duct taped to the inside of the tote. You didn't. I did, Kansu said. My supervisor thinks I'm cataloging cracked amphorae. He left me with the key to the diagnostics locker. You're either brilliant or insane, Emre said, examining the scanner like it was an artifact itself. Little of both, she replied, brushing dust off her jeans. Seibel held up the flash drive. What's this? Old site permits from the museum archive. Mostly scanned copies, nothing you can search. But there's one with a demolition stamp that was stayed in 2012. Caught my eye. She pointed to a faded line of text on the cover page. Permit number D1193. Conditional preservation pending further review. Stamped and unsigned. Layla squinted at the metadata. But that's the same address as the building listed as a warehouse now. Exactly, Kansu said. The records were altered. They didn't demolish it. They just reclassified it. Emre looked up from the gear, face serious. So the structure's intact. Ayla's fingers were already flying over her keyboard, cross-checking elevation models. More than intact. There's a whole subterranean wing that doesn't match current floor plans. They buried it in paperwork, Siebel whispered. Same as they did in stone. I reached out and gently clasped Kansu's shoulder. Thank you. You didn't have to. Yeah, I did, she said, eyes flicking toward the window. Just promise me something. Name it. If this goes sideways, don't say my name. The basement felt like a different world by late afternoon, half shadow, all tension. The overhead light flickered once, then surrendered entirely to the blue glow of screens. No one spoke unless they had to. The air hummed with the low, constant churn of Emre's server rack in the corner. I sat at the far end of the room, letting them work. Ayla crouched beside Emre's laptop, her jaw clenched as she bypassed security flags on the App Store's back end. If this backdoor holds, she muttered, we can push a beta update without triggering the ministry's crawler. Encrypted endpoints routed through Iceland, Luxembourg, and 2 places I don't want to say out loud, Emre added, tapping in the last DNS key. We'll stream through a ghost tunnel, If we get taken down, it won't be us they trace. Sibel leaned against the wall near the scanner, editing narrative overlays. I'm integrating stories from our recordings. No one cares about coordinates. They care about people. What they risked, what they lost. Layla nodded from her perch on a stool, fingers flying across her tablet. She'd been updating map pins and metadata tags all day. This is no longer just a digital museum. It's resistance memory. They weren't students anymore. They were builders, coders, archivists of what had been scraped off city walls and sanitized from school books. And I was the one who'd nearly told them to wait for permission. I closed my field book, flipped it shut. Let them lead, Merritt. That's your job now. I still think we should send the stream to a journalist, Ayla said, barely loud enough for me to hear. Someone who can verify it when it breaks. And get them targeted? Emre shook his head. We do this clean, quiet, then publish once it's done. Sibyl looked up. Then we don't blink. No one argued. Upstairs, the muezzin's call cut through the hum of the city. Low, steady, ancient. They kept working anyway. The rooftop hummed with late summer heat, the kind that made even shadows sweat. We'd strung 2 strands of lights between the air vents earlier, Emre's idea, though he'd pretended not to care. Now, under their quiet glow, the team looked older than they had that morning. Not tired, weathered. Emre double-checked the gear. Thermal camera, 3D scanner, backup drive, a signal booster clamped to an old bike rim. All set, he muttered. I saw it in their eyes, the shift. This wasn't about proving something anymore. It was about preserving something. Sibyl unrolled a worn envelope. I didn't show you this earlier. Inside, a brittle slip of paper. Her grandfather's handwriting, barely legible. She read aloud. Some things don't survive in stone, but they do in story. The wind stirred as if Istanbul itself had paused to listen. I thought he meant stories passed down, she added quietly. But I think now he meant us. We're the story that survived. Ayla stood off to the side, rolling up cable. She wiped her hands on her jeans and muttered, Let's trespass respectfully. Emre snorted. Respectfully illegal. Layla laughed once, short and nervous. Then she pulled her grandmother's scarf tighter around her shoulders. She always told me, the ones who remember are responsible. I didn't get it until now. A moment passed. No one filled it. I stepped back from the ledge, watching them circle around a map glowing on Emre's tablet. GPS coordinates, timestamps, entry points, fallback plans. They moved with a quiet rhythm, each trusting the others without needing to say it. How long do we have once we're inside? I asked. Emre didn't look up. Maybe an hour, if we're lucky. And if we're not? He finally looked at me. Then the upload finishes without us. A chill ran through me that had nothing to do with the wind. They weren't being reckless. They were being deliberate, each of them choosing to carry something too heavy for one person alone. I'd taught hundreds of kids in my life, but I'd never seen anything like this. They were ready. We reached the perimeter just past midnight. The streets had that hushed, vacuumed feeling, like the city was holding its breath. Even the stray cats gave us a wide berth. The building looked worse in person, Cracked facade, metal shutters sagging on their hinges, a slanted caution sign barely clinging to the fence. No entry. Dangerous structure. Spray painted in red beneath it. Haunted by history. Layla stopped walking. That wasn't there yesterday? No one responded. Emre gave the fence a gentle shake. Loose. He looked at me. Want me to cut it? I nodded. His hands moved fast, quiet. Snip, snip. The gate swung just enough for us to slip through one by one. I went last. Inside the courtyard, weeds cracked through the cobblestones like veins. Ayla's boots crunched glass. She muttered, "There's more structure underground. I'm sure of it." The layout doesn't match the floor plan. Sibyl approached the main door and pressed her palm flat against it. This is where they prayed. Where they hid her voice sounded distant. Emre powered up the 3D scanner. A faint hum filled the air. "This thing's gonna scream if it picks up voids under the floor," he whispered. "Once it's mapped, we push it to the backup server and then mirror to the app." Ayla handed out encrypted earpieces. Minimum chatter. Call out anomalies. No names. The plan was solid. Every move mapped. Every risk weighed. And yet, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I looked back once. Over the rooftops of Istanbul. The Bosphorus shimmered like a warning. Layla stepped forward first, pulling the door open with a long, aching groan. I touched my satchel and murmured to no one in particular. History's always dangerous. That's why they tried to bury it. Then I followed them in. The door closed behind us.